What's going on YouTube? This is AA around here bringing you guys PSBL Season 3 Week 1 recap. And today I'm going to go through all 11 battles. Well, for you guys it is today, we're doing all 11 battles. But for me it is like this process between the Friday that we did this until the next Saturday where we're going to end the week. I figured that was the best way for me to do this instead of just sitting down in one go and recording all the 11 battles at the same time, because in next week or 2 weeks from now I'll be going back to school. I won't have time to do a picture on Photoshop every week, 11 battles each week. I just don't have time for that, and I felt that this is the best way for me to do that. To do the weekly recap video for you guys, as you guys did seem to enjoy it for Season 2. If you were not here for Season 2, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to go through play-by-play every battle, and just show you guys, basically just give you guys my opinion on everything, and see where everyone is at the end of the week, standings, the league leaders, and next week's schedule. So let's just get started. We have Ninetales, with no Coach Ninetales, taking on the Kansas City Kartanas and Coach Hoobie. Coach Hoobie, of course, being the Season 2 champion, along with Lucy Goosey. Ninetales brought Infernape, Slurpuff, Cofagrigus, Lycanroc, Dusk, Kyurem, and Registeel. Kartanas brought Entei, Gyarados, Honchkrow, Swoobat, Marowak, and Kartana. Now right off the bat, a little surprised on Hoobie's team. Did not see Marowak coming. I'm surprised he even got Marowak. Does he even learn Swords Dance? I might learn Swords Dance, I'm not too sure. But Hoobie is known for hyper offense, and honestly I did not see Marowak in that hyper offense. But it's there. We're gonna see how it goes. Excuse me. In my opinion, I think Infernape on the Ninetales team is going to do a lot of work. It hits the Kartana. It hits Swoobat has really bad defense as it is. It gets Thunder Punch, so it hits Honchkrow and the Gyarados, and Entei does not want to take like an Earthquake or anything. So I think Infernape is definitely something that Hoobie needs to watch out for. So let's just get started right with it. We have Entei here going in against Slurpuff, and Entei decides to go for Sacred Fire, but the Sash makes Slurpuff live, and the Unburden boost gives it the Surf to hit Entei again, but Slurpuff does go down to a Sacred Fire. Next up is Lycanroc, obviously with that Accelerock, as Marowak comes in, lowers the speed, but a Stone Edge comes out and actually does pretty decent amount of damage. And Lycanroc is forced to switch out into Cofagrigus on the Earthquake, and that did a lot of damage. Now Marowak is forced to switch right out at Entei, probably predicting a Will-O-Wisp to come out, as we actually see a Pain Split come out instead. So now another Sacred Fire on the Cofagrigus. Cofagrigus able to live, Hex onto Entei. Entei is able to live, it's taken a couple of hits. Cofagrigus now forced to switch as Infernape takes the Sacred Fire, and definitely not well at all, but a close combat is able to hit an Entei and take it out, tying this game at 5 Pokemon each. Next up is a Honchkrow, as Infernape now switches out into Registeel. Sucker Punch comes out, as obviously it does not hit Registeel. Honchkrow switches out into Gyarados on the Thunder Wave from Registeel, as Mega Gyarados now comes out, goes for a Dragon Dance, try to get that speed back up, but a Rock Slide hits it, not very effective as you saw, as now switches right back into Infernape on the Paralysis, which is huge. Close combat hits the Gyarados. I don't know why Hoobie didn't switch, probably didn't see a good thing to sack, as now Swoobat comes out, goes for a Calm Mind, and we see that it is simple, I believe that's the ability, but anyway, a Thunder Punch hits it, and it is actually sashed, and now Infernape switches out into Cofagrigus, kills the Cofagrigus with an Air Slash, and that's a free switch into Lycanroc, goes for the Accelerock, and Swoobat does in fact go down. And now Marowak comes out again. Should be able to take a hit from the Lycanroc, but Lycanroc switches out into Registeel on the Earthquake. Not able to take it out, but the next one definitely will. But Registeel actually goes for a Stealth Rocks first. I'm kind of surprised that Registeel is faster than Marowak, in my opinion. But that gives a free switch into Kyurem. Ice Beam is able to take that out. And now Kartana comes out. gets webs, gets rocks damage, and Ice Beam is going to be able to take out that Kartana as well as Honchkrow takes rocks damage and will die to an Ice Beam. Very good job by Ninetales, seeing that his fast team is slowed down by both Thunder Wave and webs. I think this game would be different if Hubie was able to attack with his Mega Gyarados on the Infernape switching. A very risky play that Ninetales would actually switch Infernape in on a Gyarados. Could have easily predicted that and gone for a Earthquake or a Waterfall or something. But anyway, nice sweep by Kyurem at the end, able to outspeed everything on Hubie's team after that. So, yeah, very well played game by both of them. Ninetales is now up 3-0 in his division over Hubie, who is, again, the champion. For you guys, off to the next battle. For me, I don't know. I guess I have to wait a day or something like that. Thank you guys for watching. And here we are for the second battle. For you guys, it was only a couple seconds. For me, it was a whole day of waiting. And here we are again. This time we are bringing the other half of the champions of last season, Lucy Goosey and his Edmonton Coilers, going off against the New York Metagross and Coach Moki Master Mike. Lucy decides to bring Tangrowth, Cephalon, Alalamola. One of those names I can never pronounce, just go with it, please. Electros, Azumarill, Machamp, while Mike decides to bring Coco, Lantern, Azelf, Porygon 2, Drampa, and Minior. Right off the bat, I can see a lot of bulk. Lucy decides to bring 2 out of his 3 Regenerator Mons, and honestly, I see 1, 2, 3 in Lantern, Porygon 2, and Drampa not really giving that much offensive pressure, so that could really bite him in the ass. Yeah, sure, Drampa could definitely be offensive, but it is slow as heck. I think Machamp actually outspeeds it, so I could definitely be wrong there. I don't know their speed here, but just something weird to see, in my opinion. So, let's get started. Wait, I want to press this one. Excuse me. Coco decides to come out against Azumarill, and already, right off the bat, Lucy does not want to take anything from the Coco, so Mike goes for a Thunderbolt on the switch into Tangrowth. And now Coco wants to switch out, goes right out into Dory the Lantern. He takes a knockoff, which his leftovers will bite him in the butt later on, as Toxic comes out on the onto the Tangrowth as Leech Seed to the Lantern comes out. Lantern switches out into Drampa as Tangrowth switches out into Machamp. We see that it is Guts Machamp as Porygon decides to come out, which is, in my opinion, very weird to see. Loses as he violates turn 5, which is definitely not good. Only does 23 with a Thunderbolt onto Machamp and another knockoff, probably predicting another switch. Porygon just decides to recover, and Mike decides to lose his Porygon turn 7, which in my opinion, I do not agree with. I think he should have kept it with something. As Azelf gets a free switch in it, as Machamp switches out into Azumarill, excuse me. Pulls a double out into Alalamola. This is a never-ending nightmare. Does a lot of damage. Triples out into the Assault-Vested Electros, and takes that Dazzling Beam very well. And the Psyshock not as well. Decides to Volt Switch right into Cephalon, as now Azelf switches out into Drampa, which he said is his Cephalon counter, as a Flame Charge comes out, which is very interesting, and decides to go for Toxic, as Drampa goes for Surf. Lives on 1. It was in fact choice sashed anyway. Goes for Fire Blast, does not do a lot, as Shadow Ball does in fact take out the Cephalon, as now Machamp comes out, goes for a knockoff, is able to take out the Drampa. We see that it was Assault Vest, that's why the Fire Blast didn't do as much. And now Coco comes out, and it just goes right out into Electros. Now we see only does 14%. Goes right back out into Azelf, and Lucy decides to sack his Electros. And now we're tied again, as now Alalamola comes out, switches out into Lantern on the Wish from Alalamola, switches right out into Machamp, eats that Thunderbolt, and goes basically up to full health. And now that allows Machamp to take out Lantern, after taking another Thunderbolt damage in the electric terrain, as burn is racking up for Machamp. Against Machamp. Now Coco comes out, goes right out into Tangrowth, eats that eats that Volt Switch pretty nicely, goes right out into Starler, the Minior, as now this is a very good battle for Mike, or a good matchup I should say. Decides to go for a Shell Smash as the Leech Seed comes out, is not able to connect, which is very unfortunate for Mike, as now Pearl comes in, the Alomola, takes that Acrobatics very well, and we can see it's actually Rocky Helmet's Alomola, as Acrobatics, again, not able to take it out, goes for a Scald, is able to bring it down to its shields down, which means it is faster, and I do believe it hits harder, if I think I remember that correctly, as Power Gem is able to take out Alomola as a Bullet Punch from Machamp is able to take out Minior, another Bullet Punch to Azelf, just to get some chip damage as Machamp, it does go down. Aqua Jet from Zoomerl is able to take out the Azelf, and now Coco comes in, eats up in another Aqua Jet from the Azumarill, and then kills the Azumarill with a Thunderbolt. Now out comes Tangrowth, which eats the Thunderbolt very nicely, goes for an Earthquake, not able to kill, but now we can see that the Coco is not able to take out the Tangrowth, and Tangrowth wins it for Loosey Goosey. So at least one half of the champions are able to win, the other half not so much. Good game for both of you guys. Again, I don't agree with what Mike did with the Porygon 2. I think he should have kept it, switched out into, I don't know, Azelf, which would take the close combat or something like that. But I do know why he stayed in for another one. But I think after the second knockoff, I think he should have switched into something else. But I do like how he stayed in with the second knockoff. But other than that, good game for you guys. Wish you guys both luck for the remainder of the season. For you guys, you'll see me again in a second. But for me, I don't know. Okay, so we got 2 battles done in one day. This time it is me, the Buffalo Bouffalants, versus Mandy the Turtle and the Gainesville Goodras. I pretty much went over this in my my video that should come out before this, But let's go by this play-by-play very quickly. I decided to bring Mew, Swellow, Zygarde 10, Rotom Heat, Klefki, and Piloswine versus Mandy's Mega Alakazam, Tapu Fini, Crocodile, Galvantula, Ferrothorn, and Meloetta. I figured that Z-Dog with the +1 should be able to sweep through her whole team if I'm able to get up to that +1. Vice versa, I do believe Crook was going to be the biggest threat against my team. But let's get right into this. Oh, no sound, no sound, no sound. That hurt my ears. That hurt my ears. No sound. Sound bad. But we have Crook facing off against Piloswine. Decides to switch out so he doesn't take an Earthquake. Minesweeper takes that very nicely as we switch out right onto Swellow. As he goes for Rocks, Finny comes out onto the U-turn from Swellow, and so he goes right out into Mew. Takes Rocks damage, obviously, as we see that Finny has leftovers. Defog comes out on Mew as Finny decides to Calm Mind. Very, very scary indeed, seeing that Mew does not have any attacking moves other than Knockoff, which, as you saw, did minimal damage as the second Calm Mind comes out. Switches right on to Piloswine, looking to sack it as Finny goes up to +3. Piloswine obviously dies to that. And now we have Swellow coming in, going for a Brave Bird, only does 39% to it. Recoil does about half to Swellow, as the Surf does take it out. Now out comes Zygarde. The only thing that can kill the Finny at this range is in fact Tectonic Range, which does take out the Finny. As now that brings out Liability with the Crocodile, forcing Zygarde to switch out as the knockoff on the Rotom Heat does over half, switches out in Meloetta, and this Overheat only does 24%, showing that this thing is in fact Assault Vest. Shadow Ball does do a decent chunk to Rotom, but Volt Switch does only 7%, excuse me, as Clefairy comes out, switches out into Crocodile as on these spikes, and now a Klefki goes for a Reflect on the rocks, goes for an Earthquake. It does 53. Dazzling Gleam actually did more, forces the Crook to switch out into Meloetta on the another Dazzling Gleam, as now Klefki goes for light screens on the hidden power fire, only does 21%, as now Klefki is able to take more all layers of spikes, which is definitely going to help him down the road, as Meloetta is able to take out Klefki with a Shadow Ball, and that brings out Mew, takes out the Meloetta with a knockoff, and now Mew is sitting nice behind some screens. Intimidate onto Crocodile. We see the knockoff does not do a lot at all because of the Colbur Berry and because of the Reflect. Will-O-Wisp obviously is going to help against this Crocodile, as now Rotom comes in, sacks it off because of the rocks, and now Zygarde is coming in with 2 layers of light screens left. Gets that Aurora Break, goes for the Dragon Dance, goes for a knockoff, that only does 33%. It looks like Z-Dog is going to be able to sweep, but a Earthquake does 46 to it. And now out comes Minesweeper. Can the Z-Dog kill? It cannot. Lives on 7 power whip, kills the Zygarde. And now Mew versus the world is now. Decides to soft boil on the Minesweeper's Leech Seed. Obviously not able to do anything. Knockoff's able to kill the Ferrothorn. But after that, Galvantula is able to come in now, and will be not able to take out the Mew. Lives on 6%, goes for a knockoff, not able to kill, gets rid of the Focus Sash though, and Bug Buzz is able to take out Mew. Mandy wins 2-0, and we're off to the next battle. Alright, so I only had to wait a day for this one. This is, gosh, I can't think of it right off the top of my head. We have the Salt Lake Spindas taking on the Illinois Illusions, I believe they're called. I could definitely be wrong, and Bryce, I'm sorry if I'm wrong. But we have Gengar, Tapu Bulu, Salazzle, Cresselia, Gastrodon East for some reason, and Umbreon taking on, I do believe that's Charizard X, yeah, Charizard X, Rotom Wash, Ditto, Espeon, Hitmonlee, and Chansey. In my opinion, I do believe for the Illusions that, the Spindas don't really have much for Cresselia. I don't really see anything that could really hit it too hard, except for maybe Shadow Ball on Espeon, and that's basically it. I think that it's going to be having a hard time getting rid of Cresselia. Other way around, Ditto is going to be very interesting to see, but unfortunately I don't really see too many setups on the Illusions that Ditto can really do anything. Charizard X can definitely be scary, especially if he gets a Dragon Dance up. Should have a potential to sweep, but let's get right into it. Tapu Bulu is going to be taking on Rotom Wash to start this game. Obviously not good for Rotom, so he switches right out in Charizard. The Illusions predict that and go for a Stone Edge, which takes out the Charizard before even Mega Evolves, unfortunately. Espeon comes out, goes for a Hidden Power, I don't know what, I'm assuming Poison or Fire or something like that. Umbreon just eats that very nicely, goes for a Pursuit on the switch in, getting Espeon down to 32, and brings out Chansey. Chansey goes for a Stealth Rocks, as Umbreon again goes for Pursuit. Maybe it's Choice Banded, who knows? Obviously did not do much to Chansey, and it even heals back up to full. Goes for a Toxic, as Tapu Bulu comes in. Goes for a Horn Leech, did not do that much, only did 40% to the Chansey, as Chansey just soft boils that damage up, and as Tapu Bulu is racking up poison damage, switches it out into Gastrodon on the soft boil by Chansey again, goes for another Toxic, hitting the Gastrodon, as another Toxic from Gastrodon to Chansey, poisons Chansey as well, as now a switch out into Umbreon again, as a Seismic Toss hits Umbreon. Now a little bit of a standoff, goes for a Toxic, but Umbreon actually goes for a Wish, so this Toxic's not going to really mean anything, as Chansey is actually racking up poison damage, decides to switch out into Espeon on the Heal Bell from Umbreon, so now all that poisoning that Chansey did means basically nothing. Espeon goes for a Trick, I don't know why, because they just switched Leftovers with Leftovers, as now Espeon's going to go for the Grass Knot, only does 11%, as Umbreon takes out Espeon with a Pursuit. And now Rotom Wash comes out, goes for a Hydro Pump, that did 47, which is actually very good damage for a Umbreon. Switches out into Tapu Bulu, on another Hydro Pump, which does miss, which didn't really matter because the Wish comes out to help anyway. Goes for a Horn Leech, is able to take out Rotom, and they are sitting tight 6-3 so far. Hitmonlee comes out, goes for the Endure, as the Horn Leech does in fact take it down to 1%, as he brings out the Berry, which is very interesting. Goes for the Reversal, not able to kill, as a Horn Leech is able to kill the Hitmonlee. I don't know if you misclicked there or if you didn't even have Poison Jab, but very weird. Chansey comes out, goes for a Horn Leech again. That did 57 that time, as Chansey decides to try to soft boil that up. As now he's just going to go for another Horn Leech, as basically just sacked his Chansey because of Toxic. Goes for another Horn Leech, takes it out, and now we are sitting at 6v1 right now, as Ditto comes out. Transforms into Tapu Bulu, as the Illusions decide to switch out into their least bulkiest mon, the Salazzle, to take a Mega Horn from a Tapu Bulu. Goes for a Flamethrower and is able to take it out. Wait, was that Ditto not even Scarfed? Or was Salazzle Scarfed too? I don't know. Anyway, we have the Illusions winning 6-0, using that Umbreon very well. Nice prediction. Turn 1 goes for the Stone Edge or the Rock Slide or whatever it was, and killing the Charizard turn 1. That was actually very, very nice. Look out for Bryce. He's doing very well so far, and there's only 1 week. But off to the next battle we go. This one, I basically just woke up from last night, and it was here. So, we have Rock Hands and the, gosh, what are they? Mountain Rock, Lichen Rocks? I don't remember. Something about Lichen Rocks. Versus the Anaheim Arcanines. Yes, Rocky, I love you. I do. The Arcanines brought Clefable, Arcanine, wait, no, excuse me, Servine, Suicune, Donphan, Jirachi, Houndoom, and Dragonite. The Lichen Rocks brought Clefable, Arcanine, Serena, Bronzong, Archeops, and Greninja. For the Lichen Rocks, I do believe that Greninja should be putting in a lot of work. Ice Beam on Servine, Hydro Pump on Donphan, Dark Pulse, Hydro Pump, Ice Beam on the last 3, respectively. On the same at the other side, Servine is a very interesting choice. I do believe it is going to be able to wall a lot of Rocky's team, especially the Clefable, the Serena, and the Bronzong, and we should be able to make Lichen Rocks very frustrated indeed. Let's get right into this battle and see who's the MVP. We have Bronzong taking on Donphan. Donphan decides to switch, not knowing what they're going to do. Throws off a Toxic, predicting the switch. Or actually, no, never mind, they weren't really predicting the switch. Houndoom Mega Evolves, go for a Fire Blast. It only does about 60%, and Bronzong goes off for the Stealth Rocks, as Houndoom is able to take it out with a Dark Pulse, as more toxic damage brings Houndoom down. Out comes Archeops, is able to take out the Houndoom with an Earthquake, and that brings out Donphan to set up his own rocks, I do believe. Nope, Rapid Spins their rocks away as Greninja switches in. Just goes right out into Servine on the Hydro Pump, able to take that very nicely as Greninja switches out into Arcanine. Gets that Intimidate boost for the Servine, because the contrary, Servine goes for Glare, as Arcanine goes for the Toxic and hits the Donphan. Serena comes out on the Fire Fang, which does over 70 to it, and burns Serena as well. As now Donphan is going to be switching out into Servine, goes for a Drop Kick, only does 7%, and gets the attack raise again, but unfortunately Jake decided to bring a special Servine, as a Synthesis comes out on the Servine, as he goes for a Toxic on Clefable, just so that, see if it's Magic Guard or Unaware, but Heal Bell comes out and makes that Toxic basically useless, so Leaf Storm is able to take out Serena, and Servine gets the first kill of the season. As now Intimidate again onto the Servine, but switches out into Suicune on the Flare Blitz, only taking 17% to it, but it doesn't in fact get the burn, which does nullify the leftover damage, which in my opinion is actually a pretty big deal. As Arcanine switches out into Greninja on the Toxic from Suicune, as a lot of status moves are being taken effect. Dark Pulse onto Suicune, which actually does a lot of damage, as Greninja eats that Scald pretty nicely, only does 20%. Decides to switch out into Servine on a Dark Pulse, does a good chunk to it, 40%, as Life Orb damage is now taking its toll on a Greninja, forcing them to switch out into Clefable, as Servine goes for the Leaf Storm, trying to get as much damage as he can as a heal bell again on Clefable. Servine decides to go for a Glare on Clefable's Paralysis. The Leaf Storm unfortunately does miss as Clefable just goes for another heal bell and decides to switch out into Arcanine as Servine's going to go for a Glare again as Arcanine is now paralyzed again, goes right out into Donphan on the Arcanine's Bloom Doom, which does take out the Donphan, and we're tied again 4-4. As now Dragonite is able to come out, goes for a Tectonic Rage, is able to take out the Arcanine, and the Arcanines are able to get the lead again, switches out into Jirachi on the Clefable's Moonblast, which does lower the special attack, but I don't think it really matters because Meteor Mesh is able to hit the Clefable. The Berry, I think it is able to take effect. Not going to do a whole lot, but the Jirachi does get the attack raise, so the next one is able to kill and gets another attack raise. Arceus comes out, he's going to go for an Earthquake, I do believe, yep. Is not able to take out the Suicune, but the next one definitely should, especially with that burn damage. But they decide to switch out for some reason. As Greninja is able to take that Scald pretty nicely. Goes for a Dark Pulse, is able to take out the Suicune, but then Servine is able to come out, goes for another Dark Pulse, not able to kill, but Leaf Storm is able to get its second kill of the game. As now Arceus is coming out, goes for a Stone Edge, not able to kill. Leaf Storm misses for the second time in this matchup, goes for another Stone Edge, is able to take out the Arceus, and now out comes Jirachi, goes for another Stone Edge, not able to kill. Meteor Mesh is able to miss, unfortunately, but a Stone Edge is able to miss it as well. Goes for an Ice Punch, not able to kill, but gets the freeze instead. And that will be GG. That is Jake. A very, very good battle. At first I thought that it could have gone either way. But once it was just Arceus and Greninja, it looked like Jake had the advantage. However, it almost seemed like Jake was going to bring it back a little bit, especially with the both the Leaf Storm and the Meteor Mash miss. I think if it wasn't banded, I think Arceus definitely had a shot. I do believe it was banded, it could have been Scarf. But a very good game by Jake. Loved seeing that Servine do its damage. I've never seen it in draft format, and I really hope that it does more in draft format. I'm just glad I don't have to face him. But anyway, let's go on to the next battle then for you guys. Today we actually had 3 in a row. The last one we had was the one really early in the morning, and then this one with my buddy Cody and the German known as Nakora. They did it as soon as I got home, and there was another one like literally right after that. So like 3 in a row for me, which is pretty good. 3 in a row for you guys, which is pretty good as well. We got, as I said, we have my buddy Cody. He is the Holland Heracross taking on PB Nakora and the Uprising Flygons, I do believe they are. But this is Cody's first battle alone, and I bet he's pretty excited. I know that he's been prepping all week for this matchup. Manaphy, I think, is the win con. Get up to +3. I don't think anything's living either as Surf or an Ice Beam. If they are not living 2. On the other side, Celesteela is always a hard mon to get around. I'm very surprised that he didn't bring Mega Gardevoir, but I think Cody's pretty glad that he didn't. Let's get right into this. So we have Zygarde taking on Heatran, and we can see a Hidden Power Ice, not able to kill. 1,000 Arrows is able to kill the Heatran, as now we're already sitting up 6 against 5, but now Amoonguss comes out, goes for the Devastating Drake, not able to take out Amoonguss, but Amoonguss does in fact take the Zygarde to sleep, as Celesteela comes out, so does Ludicolo. Ludicolo sets up the rain, goes for Giga Drain, does not do a lot to Empoleon, as the Empoleon goes for a Toxic. Leftovers on Empoleon, switches out into a Manaphy on the Stealth Rocks, and then Manaphy is able to go for a Tail Glow, I do believe, as the Electivire comes out, as Manaphy switches out into Manectric, trying to get that Wild Charge boost in the special attack, which it does. Maggie evolves, gets the Intimidate drop, and goes for an Overheat, and does not do a whole lot. I do believe that it was a Assault Vest after talking to Cody afterwards. As now he switches out into Sylveon to take the Earthquake very, very well. Didn't even do 20. As now Electivire switches out into Empoleon, goes for a Wish with Sylveon, and then Ice Beam, it only does 15% to Sylveon, as he goes for a Heal build to heal the team, which is basically just Ludicolo's Poison. As now another Wish by Sylveon. That's going to be, as Empoleon switches out into Celesteela, on Manaphy as well. Celesteela decides to double out into Empoleon again, as the Z Rain Dance comes out, try to get that speed boost, switches out into Regirock, most likely to sack it, goes for a Surf, is able to take out the Regirock, as now Scolipede comes out, goes for another Surf, it is sashed, goes for the Swords Dance, and after a +1, he is able to outspeed the Manaphy, goes for a Mega Horn, is able to kill, unfortunately for Cody, gets the another speed boost, as now Amogus comes out, misses the Mega Horn, as now Giga Drain takes out Scolipede. Well, with that, that gives Nakora free access to my, oh my gosh, I almost said Metallica, but it's free switch into Celesteela, goes for a Heavy Slam on the Sylveon. Sorry, I had a really bad brain fart there. Manectric now, and actually a ×2 Celesteela outspeeds Mega Manectric, able to take it out with Earthquake. Now out comes Ludicolo. Acrobatics is able to take out the Ludicolo. Now we're just left with the Moongus against a +2 Celesteela, and that is being taken out as well. So GG, that is Nakora. Cody, if that thing wasn't scarfed, man, if he would have swept. It really would have. So, like, somebody said that it was the closest 4-0 battle that they've ever seen. It really was. If there was a 75% chance that the Scolipede was gonna OHKO the Manaphy where he was at. If Manaphy lived, and or if missed, I think Manaphy would have swept, which is actually very close. But either way, it was very a fun battle to watch. Really look forward to facing Cody next week. Nakora, congratulations, a nice sweep at the end with Celesteela. I really liked the Autotomi set, and yeah, that's basically it. Good luck in the rest of the season, you guys, and we'll move on to the next one. And we're back again. Today is Friday, so these guys were able to battle a day before battles were due. We have Big Tucker and the Tentacles. If I said that wrong, I do apologize. I don't really know that kind of area all that well. So, and versus Kid Icarus and, gosh, what are you? Incarnus Gliscors, I think. I forgot what your first part was, and I don't really want to go back and look it up, so I do apologize for that. But anyway, we have Stoutland, Gigalith, Fortress, Landorus T, Volcanion, and Raichu taking on Kieran Black, Gliscor, Deoncé, Mega Deoncé it is actually, Starmie, Lucario, and Raichu Alola. Right off the bat, a Sun team. Sand team for the Tentacles with Gigalith, Stoutland, and Lando would be able to boost up from that. So in theory, I could see Starmie putting in pretty good work. Even more work if it has like Hidden Power Fire for that Fortress, but also if that is the case, then it gets walled by that Volcania. But let's see where this goes and see if I am right or not. Raichu versus Raichu, and that's a really interesting start. It goes for a Psyshock, does some tremendous damage, as the normal Raichu goes for a Volt Switch, does not do as much, but Gigalith is able to come in and set up Sand for his team. Volt Switch doesn't do that much because of the Sandstorm, goes right out into Gliscor on the Stealth Rocks from Gigalith. Gliscor goes for a Earthquake, doing pretty good damage to Gigalith, as a Heavy Slam doesn't do as much and doesn't really matter as much because Toxic Heal. As the Earthquake comes out, again, fry the Gliscor, but Landers comes in to eat that up, goes for a U-turn, trying to see what the Gliscors are going to do, goes for a defog to get rid of those rocks as Stoutland comes in and is going to be doing damage, goes for an Iron Head, doesn't do as much, but does get the flinch, however. But poison recovery is just so good for the Gliscors. As Earthquake comes out again, as another Intimidate switch in by Lando, resisted, goes for the Hidden Power Ice on the Gliscor, which he was not predicting, as they just turned out to U-turn out to see what they want to do, as Mega Deontay comes out. Lando fears the Mega Deontay, so he switches out, goes right out into Fortress, as the Hidden Power Ice comes out from Mega Deontay. Very good job by the Tentacles part, as they go for Toxic Spikes on the switch into Lucario, as he decides to go out into Volcanion on the Swords Dance from Lucario, goes for a close combat and actually does kill. I am a little surprised about that myself, but it does pretty good damage as Landorus is able to come out again, goes for an E-Speed, not able to take out the Landorus, but unfortunately he's able to U-turn out instead of Earthquaking, and Lucario is able to live again, and is going to go for a Meteor Mash, try to get that boost up in attack, but unfortunately he's not able to do that, as Stoutland is able to come in, goes for an Extreme Speed, not able to kill the Stoutland, as the Superpower does in fact take out Lucario. So that means the Tentacles are only down by just one Mon, as now Gliscor comes in, goes for another Superpower that only does 15%, as now Gliscor is going to roost and basically get back up to full health after another poison recovery. Goes right out into Landers, try to get the Hidden Power Ice again as a defog comes out from Gliscor. So Gliscor is basically at full. Landers goes for another U-turn instead of going for Hidden Power Ice, as a U-turn from Gliscor comes out again, goes right out into Starmie on the Stoutland. Stoutland is faster in the sand and is able to kill the Starmie with a return, as now that brings out Mega Deontay, as Fortress comes out as well, eating up the Diamond Storm pretty nicely, and unfortunately no boost for Deontay as he's forced to switch out into Kyurem on the Gyro Ball, which does not take it very well at all. Hidden Power Fire actually comes out and does in fact kill the Fortress, as now that fights in Raichu, switches out into Gliscor on the all-out pummeling, most likely from the Focus Blast. Not able to do a lot at all to the Gliscor, does 25%. Another Hidden Power Ice user on the Raichu hits the Gliscor, not able to kill it unfortunately, but U-turn is able to kill the Raichu as he goes out into Kyurem, as Landers comes in, not able to outspeed the Kyurem at all, as Ice Beam is able to take the Landers out, as well as the Stoutland, and there you are, the Gliscors get their first win 4-0 over the Tentacles, who unfortunately fall 0-4, well 0-1 and -4. So you guys see me in a second, over to the next battle. Alright guys, we are back again. Today is Saturday, the last day of battles, and we actually got 2 in a row. They basically started at the same time, and they finished them a little bit before, one before the other, but right now we only have one more battle to go, and hopefully they can get it done within the time slot. Then this should be going up tomorrow, which would be Sunday, so... But this time we have Gamer Geeko and the Reading Rapidash, I think that is, the Reading, versus the Winner 64 and the Philadelphia Starmies. That might change by the end of the season. A whole fiasco here, but we have Ribombee, Slowking, Mega Pinsir, Huntail, doesn't really matter, Nidoking, and Weavile, taking on Mega Sableye, Raikou, Haxorus, Milotic, and Staraptor. On the Rapidash's side, I do believe that Haxorus could be very threatening, especially with a Dragon Dance up, Poison Jab, and just with massive attack after a Dragon Dance. Should be putting in a lot of work against the Starmies. Vice versa, I do believe that Ribombee could be putting in a lot of work. Also with the chance of Sticky Webs and Nidoking or Weavile or what have you, that could be a very threatening combination. So let's see if he can bring Sticky Webs. So we have Mega Sableye starting off against Mega Pinsir. Pinsir decides to Mega Evolve turn 1. Sableye actually goes for the Fake Out, which is interesting in my opinion, and then decides to switch out into Staraptor on the Swords Dance. Pinsir decides to switch out into Slowking. Does not take a Brave Bird at all, but it actually turns out to be Rocky Helmet Slowking. And Staraptor decides to switch out into Milotic, taking his Scald very nicely, obviously. and he goes for a Scald of its own, and Slowking actually does get burned, but I don't think it really matters, as he goes for a Toxic, trying to put this thing on a timer, even though Marvel skill is now boosted. Slowking decides to switch out into a Rabombi, taking a Scald, not that well, but not burning also. So then Rabombi decides to quiver up, try to live the Scald a little bit better, lives on 24, as toxic damage is doing its thing, as it decides to switch out into Whimsicott on the Rabombi's sticky webs, then decides to switch out into Weavile on its own, goes for a toxic, but we can see that dark types are immune to prankster moves. Switches right back out into Mega Sableye, takes that Icicle Icicle Crash very well, switches right out into Rabombi again on the Pain Split, which actually hurts Mega Sableye more. Rabombi decides to go for a Quiver Dance yet again, goes for a Moonblast, is able to take out the the regular Staraptor, and switches right out into Milotic, goes for another Quiver Dance, but the Milotic actually reveals it as Haze. So now toxic damage is nullifying the leftovers, as Starmies go for a Quiver Dance yet again, taking that Scald very nicely, and then wants to go for a Moonblast, not able to take out the Milotic, living on 2 with the next Scald, still not burning. I do believe that's a third Scald on Rabombi that does not burn. Switches out into Whimsicott, as not taking the Moonblast very well, and decides to go for the Toxic, which is very dangerous because you could have easily gone Weavile again, but that does take out the Whimsicott as well as the Rabombi due to Toxic, as Raikou comes out versus Nidoking. Obviously Nidoking has the advantage. He goes for the Earth Power on the Mega Sableye switching, as obviously that does in fact kill Mega Sableye, then goes into Milotic, trying to do something I guess, but a Sludge Bomb comes out, able to take out the Milotic, as Haxorus is now able to come out. If I do believe if Ice Beam were on the Nidoking, it would have killed, but it did not. But an Earthquake did in fact kill the Nidoking, as now Huntail is able to come out, lives the Outrage, goes for a Shell Smash, and that is good game for Rapidashes, as the first Waterfall is able to kill the Haxorus, goes out into a Raikou right now, and even at full health, it is not able to take the Waterfall at all, and that is good game. Again, Sticky Webs, as I said, did prove to be very valuable for the Starmies, and I can also see it happening down the road even more. So let's go over to the other battle. We have GV Center and the Dallas Dragons, I do believe, taking on Sir Hawthorne and the San Francisco Royals. I should have wrote this down before doing this, but anyway, we have Darmanitan, Golbat, Florges, Malamar, Mega Aggron, and Keldeo taking on Alolan Ninetales, Volcarona, Bisharp, Hawlucha, Ambipom, and Pyukumuku. Pyukumuku could definitely be very dangerous mon to have, very bulky, but I do believe that taking out the Darmanitan leaves the field wide open for the Volcarona. That thing is very scary. So I think Sir Hawthorne really needs to put up the rocks and put them up really quickly. So I can see 3 things that get really affected by rocks. Well, 4 things. 2 of them don't really give a crap, but vice versa, I do believe that Mega Aggron could be putting in a lot of work. Defensively, more defensively than not, but again, they need to take out the Volcarona very fast because they are very weak to Volcarona. Well, let's get right into this now. So we have Darmanitan taking on Pyukumuku to start this. Very interesting to see Pyukumuku just turn 1. But a U-turn right out into Golbat on the Baton Pass from Pyukumuku, goes right out into Alolan Ninetales. Ninetales decides to set up screens, Aurora Veil, excuse me, as Golbat goes for a Toxic, which is very nice to do against the Alolan Ninetales, as they decide to go Florges. Unfortunately misses the Hypnosis, and its toxic damage is going to whittle the Ninetales down a little bit, as they decide to go for Bisharp on the Florges' Calm Mind. It goes for a knockoff instead of Iron Head, which is very interesting. Gets rid of the Berry, which is also really nice to see, as the Moonblast is not able to kill because of Aurora Veil, as Bisharp goes for a Stealth Rock on the Florges' switch. The Brick Break does get rid of the Aurora Veil, nice prep there, and gets rid of the Aurora Veil, not hitting Pyukumuku that hard, goes to recover on the Golbat switching, as he goes right out into Ninetales again on the Golbat's Defog, getting rid of the rocks. So now we're basically back where we started just a few turns ago, as Golbat is going to switch into a Hypnosis Hypnosis, as Ninetales is just going to sit there and go for an Aurora Veil as Aggron burns his first turn of sleep. Now Ninetales is under half as he switches out into Volcarona, which is very scary, especially if he is able to get a Quiver Dance up, which he is through Veil nonetheless, as Aggron finally wakes up and goes for Rocks instead, and here comes a Inferno Overdrive from Volcarona. That is obviously going to kill the Mega Aggron as he goes Malamar, goes for a Fire Blast. It is sashed, lives on 1, goes to the Topsy-Turvy. I love that prep. That was really good on Sir Hawthorne's part. Excuse me, I had a hiccup there, as he decides to go for a Destiny Bond on a Quiver Dance. They go for another Quiver Dance on the knockoff, which does do a pretty good amount, but the Flame Body does take effect, and Malamar does go down. Darmanitan comes in, goes for the Earthquake instead of a Flare Blitz. We see that as Scarf goes for another Quiver Dance, not able to take it out, but Psychic is able to take out Darmanitan as they switch out into Florges. Goes for a Giga Drain, not able to take the Florges, but is able to get some recovery back. Moonblast only does 9%. Goes for another Giga Drain, does take out the Florges as well. Switches out into Keldeo, obviously not going to live as a Giga Drain. All the way back up to full health goes Volcarona, as Golbat is not going to be able to take a Psychic at all, especially at ×2. So there we have it, the second 6-0 of the week. Go for GV Center. So Aurora Veil is definitely MVP. Especially with Volcarona at ×2. Yeah, so again, as I said before, one more battle to go this week, and then we will be able to finish this weekly recap. Thank you guys for watching. Oh, actually, that comes after this, so see you guys in a second. And here we are again. This is the final battle of week 1. We have the Pittsburgh Reggie Steelers taking on the Miami Magikarps. I remembered. We have Victini, Skarmory, Conkeldurr, Mega Gyarados, no, regular Gyarados, Deontay, and regular Gardevoir taking on Mamoswine, Zeraora, Tornadus T, Mega Altaria, Miltank, and Dhelmise. Right off the bat, I do believe that Conkeldurr could be putting in a lot of damage. Knockoff, Drain Punch, Ice Punch, maybe even Earthquake. No matter what it is, Conkeldurr's always going to be putting in damage, so you gotta watch out for that all the time. Vice versa, Zeraora is going to be very interesting. It's making a debut in all Pokemon Leagues. Well, maybe not all Pokemon Leagues, I can't say for them all. But for this one, it is making its debut. Very excited to see how it goes, but let's find out. We have Miltank going one-on-one against Victini. Victini decides to go for a U-turn and goes right out into Skarmory. Miltank goes for the Stealth Rocks, and if we see that it has leftover damage, switches out into the Zeraora as the Skarmory goes for Stealth Rocks of his own. Volt Switch only goes to its Sturdy, making it go to 1%. Goes right back out into Miltank on the Skarmory's counter. Very nice prep there, but unfortunately was predicted wrong, or else that would have been just crazy to see. Thunder Punch takes out the Skarmory, and we already have a 6-5 lead for the Pittsburgh Reggie Steelers. Conkeldurr comes in, switches right out into Dhelmise, predicted that very nicely, and goes for an Ice Punch. We see that it is, in fact, Guts Conkeldurr, goes for a knockoff, and does take out the Dhelmise. Now, Tornadus comes in, as Gardevoir switches in, traces the Regenerator on the Air Slash, only doing a quarter of damage, goes for a U-turn, doing a little less than a quarter, goes right out into Mamoswine on the Moonblast. It does take it out. I do believe that means that it was Spexed. I could definitely be wrong. As now Zeraora comes out, goes for Thunderbolt. It lives on 2. Apparently that was a min-roll, unfortunately for Byron, as the Zeraora goes down. Air Slash takes out the Gardevoir, and now that gives a free switch into Victini. Switches right out into Miltank on the Victini's Volt Strike. Does take it down to about 38, but the leftovers does help it out a lot. Switches out right out into Conkeldurr on the Earthquake from Miltank. Does not do that much at all, as we all know that Conkeldurr is very bulky. Goes for another Earthquake, again, not that much. Goes for an Ice Punch, not able to do a lot because of the thick of that. As now switches out right out into Altaria, trying to predict a Drain Punch. Goes for an Ice Punch instead, and Mega Altaria does go down, which is a bummer, that's for sure. Milk Tank comes out again, Mach Punch is able to kill it, and now we have a 4-3 advantage for the Magikarps, as Tornadus does come out, takes rocks damage, Mach Punch doesn't do too much, only does about 20%, Air Slash is able to take out the Bulky Conkeldurr, as now Gyarados comes in, takes rocks damage, goes for the Hidamaro Electric, and again another mid-roll would have been able to take it out, and we have a Steelium Z, I don't know what it was, probably Iron Tail, if it even learns Iron Tail. But anyway, Steelium Z does take out Tornadus, and we have a 3-0 victory for the Miami Magikarps. Which means, actually, I probably should have went somewhere else first, but let's start here. Why not? Why not? That we have our league leaders for week 1, and let's start defensively, shall we? As we go over here, we have Volcarona, bottoming out the defensive league leaders. He took 3 hits, no deaths, no poison or burn or poison damage. That's from the Dragons. Suicune and Machamp each had take 3 hits each. Just one took more burn damage than the other. Rabambi actually took 4 hits, which is very surprising. So did Umbreon. He took 4 hits. Chansey and Tangrowth, they both took 4 hits. Servine took 5, and both hit Powder and Gliscor. They both took 8 hits each, just one died and the other one did not. So now let's go over to the kill-death ratio. They all look pretty jumbled up. It's basically the same thing as the offensive league leaders. So once the weeks go down, we will see more diversity and everything. That's very nice to see. Volcarona leading the pack with 6 kills. Togekiss 5 kills and only 1 death. Celesteela and Tapu Bulu each had 4 kills, 0 deaths. Machamp had 4 kills, 1 death. Kyurem and Kyurem Black, funny to see them together. Both of them had 3 kills, 0 deaths. I think that's hilarious. I don't know about you guys. Conkeldurr and Mew each had 3 kills and 1 death. And Huntail actually rounding out the bottom with 2 kills. The 2 surprising ones I would definitely have to say is Togekiss and Huntail. I don't think I've ever seen top 10 kill leaders, but I think that once the season progresses, we'll see as much of these guys up here. So let's go to the standings as it loads. As we have the Sun and Moon divisions right now, if the playoffs ended, if the regular season ended right now, we would see the Illusions, the Gliscors, the Flygons, and the Dragons each automatically making it to the playoffs with a first round bye. The Magikarps, the Goodras, the Infernapes, and the Arcanines, they would automatically make the playoffs. Ninetales, Coilers, Beedrills, and Lycanrocs, they round out the bottom and would be able to just barely clinch the division. Power rankings have not been released yet. They will probably be released tomorrow. Look for that later for the PSBL guys. As we will go to the schedule right now, and I'll do my best to cover all 11 matches. I should have wrote this down. I will for next week. As a matter of fact, I'm going to pause this real quick, and then I will tell you guys the matches. And I am back. This time I wrote it down. We have matchup number 1. As soon as I scroll up, there we are. We have the Kartanas taking on the Illusions, so Hoobi versus Bryce. In my opinion, I do believe that Hoobi is going to pull off the win. I think he needs to redeem himself from the week 1 beatdown that he suffered from Ninetales. And it's also as scary as Bryce's team is in bulk. Like, I think it has a very bulky team. Hoobi's team is just wall breakers, and you can't. I don't think you can beat a team of wall breakers with just a team of walls. He has Moxie and Beast Boosting Mons up the ass, and it's going to be very hard for Bryce to beat that team with the current team that he has. Is it possible? Oh yeah, big time. But I do believe that the Kartanas have a better matchup in this battle. Next up we have Ninetales versus the Magikarps. Basically the first place, battle for first place already in week 2. Obviously it doesn't mean as much as if it was like week 10 or something like that. But anyway, we have, like as I just said, Ninetales versus Kartanas. My gosh, read the wrong one. Ninetales versus Magikarps. I do believe that Ninetales has a more solid team. That's what I'm basing it off of. I don't really know the Magikarps' playing style as well, so from what I know, from what I've seen, I do believe that Ninetales has a better team matchup. Next up is the Registealers versus the Tentacools. Zero Aura all the way. But all seriousness, I just like the matchup a little bit better. Zero Aura could definitely put in a lot of work against the Tentacools team, but we'll definitely see for sure. The fourth one is the Gliscors versus the Coilers. Respect the camel, man. You gotta respect the camel. But always, every matchup, unless I see something wrong with his matchup, I am always going to guess Lucy, just because he is hard to bet against. Oops, sorry about that. One of my cans fell over when I was trying to mark something down. So I'm definitely taking Lucy and the Coilers. Next up is the Metagross versus the Goodras. I really like Coco in this matchup. Don't know why, I just do. That's basically the reason why I'm gonna go the Metagross here. So we'll definitely find out there. Bouffalance versus the Heracross. You know you boys gotta represent the Bouffalance, right? So I definitely think that we're gonna win on that one. No special reason why I don't want to release what I'm bringing. Next up we have, let's actually go down to the Moon Conference. We have the Royals versus the Spindas. Both of these two teams are 0-1 and -6. Which one is going to come out on top? I gotta go with the Royals in this one. See how well they do and everything. Next up is the Dragons versus the Infernapes. Coming off hot with that Pyukumuku and that, Volcarona. Aurora Veil Volcarona is just broken, and it's hard to bet against that. So, yeah. Starmie's versus the Rapidash, and before I go on, I just need to say that, who are they? The Philadelphia Starmies from last week, they changed names. They are now the Charlotte Beedrills. And the Carolina Crowbats from last week are now the new Philadelphia Starmies. Their team in general did not change. They still have the same team as week 1, but their team name has changed. So now the Starmies is now Devil, who lost 5-0 or 0-5 to the Infernapes last week, taking on the Rapidash. I do believe that the Starmies are going to bounce back and be able to get the win on that one. Now the Beedrills are taking on the Lycanrocs. I think that the Lycanrocs are going to make it close, but I do believe that the Beedrills are going to remain on top and go 2-0. Finally, the match of the night, I do believe, or match of the week, I should say, is going to be the Arcanines versus the Flygons, and I do believe it's going to be super hard to beat this Dragon Fairy Steel Core. I'm going to go with the Flygons in that one. I just don't see much that the Arcanines can bring to stop that, so I'm going to go Nakora and the Flygons. We're going to find out how good I am at the end of the week. I should have done it for this first week too, but c'est la vie, that's life. But thank you guys for watching. I hope you have a good week, and good luck to everyone in the matchups. Bye.